I got 5 tips for you today, and if you use all these skills at home, dude, I can't even imagine taking this skill set outside. Like, if you can practice all this at home and master it, game over. So let's go ahead and start off by rolling the clip from my last video. Not everyone is going to have the convenience or the time to go out and shoot in golden hour or at some majestic waterfall. Sometimes all you have is right here. And today, I'm going to show you how to make that work. So tip number 1 is something that many other creators emphasize, and for good reason. It's because it's so incredibly important. And that is to remember your story. Story is king. Let me ask you this. Why do you go to the movies? Is it for the special effects? Maybe. Is it for a certain actor or actress? Probably more likely. And what do those actors and actresses do? They're telling you a story, right? So for the most part, you're going to movies to watch a story. You're trying to get immersed into this completely new world and understand what all these characters are doing and interacting with each other. It's the same concept that's done here. You can have a super high budget movie, amazing special effects, all these crazy cool effects, but if it's lacking story, it just takes away from everything else. And then what happens? It becomes boring to watch. At the same time, you can have a low budget movie, little to no effects, but as long as there is a story and there's substance and there is character development, you're going to enjoy that way more than the movie with no story at all. So that's what I mean by incorporating your story into your B-roll. You have to have a reason why you're shooting this segment that is not part of the main story or the A-roll, okay? The whole point of B-roll is it's a transitionary point or supplemental to what your main story is. So me, for example, most of my videos are tutorials on different board games. And then the B-roll would be kind of like a showcasing of what the game is about, what the theme is, how it's integrated into the game, and so forth. But in this specific case, we have Tapestry. Tapestry, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing game, okay? But the storyline is you're trying to build a civilization and advance in all these sorts of fields. And then for me, at least at this point in time, I couldn't think of a way that I can kind of make all these civilizations rise from the ashes or go to different space shuttles and space stations to, film all this. Don't get me wrong, it'd be super cool. But then I was like, how about my story for once just be plain and simple? This is how you set up the board game, and these are all the components that are going into the tutorial that I'm about to show right after this. So all this is elaborating on the point that do not lose focus of your story, okay? Keep your story in mind when you're filming your entire B-roll segment. Think through it. What do you want to show in the beginning? And how do you want to complete that story by the end of your B-roll segment? To tack on a couple of examples, in my Fireball Island video, for example, Fireball Island is a game where you're trying to escape an island literally that's on fire. So you're traversing a bunch of different types of terrain, and then that's what I tried to include in my video, right? So it was done with purposefully rough cuts. I remember having a shot where you're kind of traveling through like grass, so it makes you feel like you're running along with the components. So the same concept with Vindication, right? So Vindication, you're shipwrecked on an island and you're trying to gain honor and prestige and influence back. So tip number 1, remember your story and keep it in your mind at all times as you are editing and filming. So with that as a premise, now we can move on to the more technical stuff. So tip number 2 is to utilize sound. It's funny because I don't know why I used to always neglect sound. Sound is so incredibly important. They go hand in hand. I neglected it till I realized what a fat difference it makes in your videos. Now let me show you one clip from the same B-roll and Tapestry. Now for that one, you see how I'm pulling the camera back? It makes such a big difference to just add a whoosh sound. It adds so much more depth to the video from adding just a simple whoosh as you are mimicking that motion of pulling backwards with the camera, right? It makes it so much better. And on top of that, sound design doesn't necessarily have to match the motion or the object or the thing that you're filming. For example, like fighting movies, right? Like when you hear all those like punches and stuff, there's no way we hear that when we're punching somebody. Like that versus that. Completely different, right? But what looks better? That. So another example in the same tapestry B-roll, that's the one where I flip the box over, right? So the box cover doesn't only make that sound. Normally barely makes a sound at all. Maybe you hear like a little bit of wind. So I was looking through it, and then that's when I found kind of like a whiplash, and then edited the speed of the sound. That way it reflects the movement that is shown. So as the box flips and flips and flips, it also matches the sound that's going along with each consecutive flip. So number 2, don't neglect sound. Okay, moving on to number 3, and that is to, well actually this is something that pretty much every photographer always makes fun of you for, but I like it, okay? And that is to use foreground. So with foreground, actually, how about if I just show you? We'll do the laboratory because science. Oh, live demonstration with BRoll and board games. Okay, so you tell me what looks better. This or this? So with foreground, you want to show movement as you are panning across with your camera. It looks way, way better when you're able to showcase depth and distance in your shots as you are panning across with the foreground, showing whatever is in focus in kind of like the midground, background. And then if you want to get even fancier than that, you can combine a whole foreground concept and use a mask at the same time like I did with this clip, where I was pulling the instruction manual away and then transitioning to the next shot by using a mask to cover that layer. Moving on to tip number 4. Now this one plays along the same lines as the last one with foreground, and that is to compose your shots well. What do I mean by that? It's to critically think about how you are composing your shots at very, very specific angles. And that matters so much because that's the difference between someone who is lazy, sorry, versus someone who is not. You know, you're just putting that extra mile to make a better composed shot. So just ask yourself, you know, what angle can I use that's uncommon? You know, what's gonna make me struggle in order to get this shot? I guarantee you, even though it's gonna be a pain to get specific shots, the ones that you're struggling for, they're gonna be so much more worth it than the ones that come easy. And that's because it's probably different from what other people have seen. So for example, the dice roll shot. So that one, I set up a camera right over here, pointing this way towards the wall. And then I would have my fiance drop dice right in front of me. And then I had 2 hands right in front of the lens. And we had to be, actually they were backwards. And we had to be in sync so that way when she drops it, I would catch the dice at the same time. And you know, we took like what, 10 tries and like half an hour for that, all for a 2-second clip. It looks so cool, right? I thought for me, that was like the highlight of the video, which was that dice shot. So those kind of Super Saiyan shots, go for it, trust me, because they're so much more worth it. And that takes me to the final tip of the day, which is pacing. So as editors, creators, we tend to, if I'm categorizing for everyone, we tend to make the pacing of our videos very, very fast or very, very slow. And that's normal because for us, we know what's going into all the different edits because we're the ones that filmed it, we're the ones that are editing right now. So we tend to kind of cut things really, really fast for a long period of time, and we don't think about taking a step back to breathe. Now at the same time, we are not putting together 5-second clips back to back just so we can fill up space and time. We are not lazy here on BRoll and Board Games, so we're going to think about our pacing and vary your shots. Sometimes make it long, sometimes make it short, match with the music, don't match with the music, add a build up to the chorus and then slow down so you can let people breathe. All those things you have to actively think about as you're editing so you can think about the audience. And then in the end, it's going to make your videos flow that much better when you are thinking about the pacing of your shots. Make some long, make some short, make some match, make some don't match. All right, so those are the 5 tips I have for you today, for all my content creators, enthusiasts, whatever you want to call yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this how to film B-roll segment. If you found this helpful, I would love to have your support on all my social media channels to help grow B-roll and board games to become, who knows. It would be nice one day though to have a little 100K YouTuber plaque right here instead. But if you found all these tips helpful, let me know in the comments below. Tag me on your videos and stuff on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. All right, back to editing some more photos for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll see you all on the next one.